Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is almost out, the movie that starts MCU's Phase 5, so I decided to rank all the Phase 4 movies from worst to best according to IMDb. And without further ado, let's get started. I had some pretty solid expectations before watching Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor in the MCU is certainly not my favorite character. But I remember Ragnarok, that movie was pretty good and I enjoyed Taika Waititi's style. Ragnarok was overblown with humor, indeed, but there still was a sense of balance, so the movie didn't fall into a farce and was genuinely enjoyable. However, Love and Thunder is exactly the case of Waititi losing control and getting divorced from the reality. The fourth Thor treats serious problems like it's completely nothing. Jane has cancer which is slowly killing her, which could be good dramatic foundation for the story. But it is used for yet another joke, as if there are not enough of those already here. Gore, so-called the God Butcher, doesn't actually butcher any god on screen except for a random character at the beginning. Christian Bale's performance here is as good as it could be in such a movie that thinks of itself as some sort of high-budget parody film. Thor in the MCU has been through much. He lost his father, mother, brother, home, had to kill his own sister, and his ex-girlfriend is seriously ill. Moreover, he had a mental breakdown because he almost doomed the universe by not killing Thanos when he could. You would expect Thor to mature and to be more serious. However, for Waititi, Thor is still just a super strong clown. I really dislike the movie. I think Thor should retire just like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. I don't know why Marvel keeps him around. Judging by the post-credit scenes, Thor is not gonna retire from the MCU anytime soon. If they are planning another Thor movie, at least give it to someone who would treat the character with respect. In other words, someone who isn't Taika Waititi. Unlike Thor, I actually loved Eternals. The funny or not so funny thing about the MCU is that it almost never allows any creative vision from their directors. MCU movies must all fit certain franchise criteria, such as being as family friendly as possible, having lots of jokes, and also not touching anything overtly political. Only a few directors were granted some sort of creative freedom. First it was James Gunn, then Ryan Coogler, and now Chloe Zhao. Eternals is probably the most peculiar MCU movie. It was a huge gamble for the studio and the risk apparently didn't really pay off. I agree with some criticism that the movie received. It introduces 10 new characters in less than 3 hours of running time. It really could have worked better as a Disney Plus show. Why couldn't we get an Eternal series when we get hours and hours of TV dedicated to the characters like Hawkeye or Miss Marvel? The question is to Disney, but I personally think the problem is the budget. Chloe Zhao wanted a big epic movie with a cosmic scale threat, so it could hardly be possible if Eternals was a show. Eternals became one of my favorite MCU movies because it actually feels like a personal story. Not just a movie about overpowered gods fighting even more overpowered enemies. It has something that other MCU movies seem to be missing so much. It is built around the characters and their choices, lives and fears. Unfortunately, it was perhaps too unusual for your typical Marvel enjoyers, so the movie failed. You know what? This movie should have happened like 6 years ago when Natasha was still alive. But Black Widow still could have been a nice tribute to the character. Unfortunately, this movie feels less than a tribute and more like an introduction of the new characters who would play some role in future MCU projects. And we're getting tons of them, not just movies, but also different TV shows. The movie certainly was not that bad, it had moments that I enjoyed. My favorite part is David Harbour. He was absolutely great in my opinion, and I enjoyed every minute he was on screen. Cannot say the same about other characters, unfortunately. The movie feels mostly very dull and unnecessary. I don't really think Marvel needed this one to introduce Red Guardian or Natasha's sister, who is played by Florence Pugh. Black Widow just feels like a long overdue check. The CGI here is also pretty bad. Of course, COVID can be partially blamed for this, because the budget could be cut due to money saving strategy, and Disney lost a lot of money due to the pandemic. Or maybe nobody actually cared about this movie being good. Anyway, bad CGI can also be explained by the fact that VFX workers are too overworked. They are just jumping from one project to another without even getting enough rest in between. As a result, the quality of their work gets significantly worse, even if we take into account the fact that Marvel's CGI has never been really great. Looking just decent has always been the priority. Making great CGI is for nerds like James Cameron. I made a video about this one not long ago when Wakanda Forever was released. In my opinion, didn't really change much. The movie is so bleak. Look, there is a whole underwater world hidden from humanity. Marvel's analog of Atlantis. It could look fantastic and otherworldly. You just need to let your imagination fly. But in the movie, the underwater Telacan looks like the VFX artists were trying hard to conceal flaws of their work. While I didn't really like Avatar: The Way of Water, visually the movie was absolutely stunning, especially after watching MCU projects like Wakanda Forever. Story-wise, however, it is better. I like the way they managed to explain King T'Challa's death. It was very natural, and it gave this film some room to breathe. Namor was certainly a good villain, and my favorite part of the movie. Overall, I liked Wakanda Forever, but I still vastly prefer the first one, though. I won't deny I loved this one, but the second Doctor Strange has a huge disadvantage. Before watching, you have to be familiar with WandaVision, because what happens in the show leads directly to Doctor Strange. And this is the problem of the modern MCU expanding to the realm of TV shows. There is just too much content to consume right now. Too many movies and shows to keep up with. Apparently not everybody has a desire nor free time to consume everything. I personally don't watch everything that comes out of the MCU simply because the quality is not the best, and most shows are just boring to watch. Moreover, Doctor Strange diminishes Wanda's redemption arc in WandaVision, turning her into a villain again. Somehow, in the Multiverse of Madness simultaneously continues WandaVision and also ignores it. It shows the cracks between the shows and the movies, and how hard it is to keep a huge beast such as MCU intact. In this movie, not only the Earth or cosmos, but the entire multiverse is in great danger. Hell is not an Avenger level threat. Honestly, there are too many problems with this movie. But there are also many positive things. Sam Raimi's cinematography, for instance, even though it is highly restricted by family-friendly ratings, shines from time to time. Especially I love the camera zooming into the eyes, which reminded me of Raimi's previous works. I also found the ending to be pretty emotional. Overall, again, I enjoyed this one, but still I totally understand what brings this movie down, especially after such high expectations. I don't really have much to say about this one, but it is another origin story, as if we haven't had tons of them previously. But unlike say the first Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi manages to be different by embracing Eastern culture and making it shine in the movie. I usually get easily bored by the MCU action scenes unless it is James Gunn, of course, and his Guardians of the Galaxy. But I wholeheartedly enjoyed Shang-Chi's final battle scene and its fantasy elements. Huge chunk of this movie felt like a light-hearted fantasy adventure, and that was absolutely cool, especially considering that most of other films now have universal or even multi-universal threat. Phase 4 established so many different new characters, and I just don't know how they keep building a cohesive co-joint universe. I guess we will see. There is no surprise, I guess. Number 1 is Spider-Man No Way Home. To be completely honest, the actual story is very thin. The only thing great about the movie is its masterful fan service. Bringing all the characters from all the previous Spider-Man movies was a fantastic idea. The way the audience reacted, even in my local rather small movie theater, was such an amazing sight to behold. The movie might not contain the actual story, but bringing everyone's childhood and fond memories back makes this one certainly the best movie of the fourth phase. If we talk about the entire MCU, Spider-Man is the third highest rated movie, only behind, which is totally understandable, Infinity War and Endgame. Anyway, Spider-Man No Way Home was probably the best theatrical experience I had since the Hobbit trilogy. Seeing all three Peter Parkers together was fantastic. No Way Home is a theatrical experience, it is intended to be, and the script is certainly not that important.